And that's it. We're now live. Well, welcome to the second installment of really a new revolution, if you will, that we're bringing forth through a multitude of companies. But today, we can talk about everything going on behind me, but today I'm so grateful. I met our guest, our presenter, if you will, just over, I'm going to say 5 years ago now at a Bob Proctor Matrix event. And we were there to kind of learn how to evolve and educate and grow our life. And this Matrix event took a massive turn because there was a guest speaker that was supposed to be there. And this guest speaker, I believe it was her mother or somebody in her family got sick. And as tragic as that was, the gentleman that we've got today, Mr. Brian Biro, America's Breakthrough Coach, came up and presented to the group, if you will, the Matrix event. And if I could just share one piece that I've learned from that day was Napoleon Hill was so correct when he said with every adversity comes with the seed of an equal or greater benefit. And the adversity that all of us in that Matrix group, I mean, it was a week-long event, and this was the main event, was having this individual come in. And you know what? That adversity turned into, I mean, a beautiful relationship for myself. And I'd really just like to present and have all of you say hi to Brian Biro. Brian Biro is my mentor, my coach, and a dear friend. Brian, I just want to say thank you again. I'm so grateful that you're taking this, 30, 40 minutes out to speak with us today.
Dan, you mean a lot to me, and you are a extraordinary example of somebody who is always hungry to learn and grow, and then to share it with other people. So this is not my job today; it's my joy.
Well, thanks, Brian. And you know what, Brian, let's just jump right into it, because for going on, I believe it to be close to 25 years now, Noah, you've been teaching companies like Microsoft, like Staples, like Hewlett-Packard, like all these major corporations about team building and the essence of creating synergy in your teams, correct?
That is correct. It's been a passion of mine for my whole life.
Well, we've got 4 pillars that we've put together, as you can see behind us, that is truly going to help everyone on this live cast really start creating an unstoppable team, if you will. And so let's just start with the 4 pillars, Brian. And in the first pillar, we talk about being present, actually being present with your mind, body, and soul in the room. And the first question that we want to kind of get to on being present is, what is the essence of being present? Because so many people say, well, no, I go to work every day. I mean, I'm present at work. But there's a different essence to it, isn't there?
Oh, there absolutely is. I think that, I'm so glad you're starting with this as the base pillar, because it's the most important principle I think that we teach. When you get down to it, to build teams, to build families, to build relationship, at the heart of it is we all have the same job. You can't talk about team building without talking about leadership. And the job of a leader who's going to build teams, whether you're the person with the title or whether you're the newest person on the team, you're still a leader. But the job is to help the people on that team, the people that you work with, to know that they're important, to know that they're significant, that they can make a difference. Because when people feel that they're important, they change. They become alive, they become engaged, they become energized, they'll go that extra mile. So the essence of being fully present is that it leads towards that. You cannot help people know they're important unless you are fully present. And what it means, very simply, is when you're fully present, 100% of your mind, body, and spirit is with the person you're with where they are now. And I'll say that again. When you're fully present, 100% of your mind, body, and spirit is with the person you're with where they are now. And perhaps the best way, Dan, sometimes to see something is to look at its opposite. How many of you have ever been with somebody, well, you know their body's present, but the rest of them is definitely in some other county? Yeah, we all have. You've been talking to somebody, you're interested in them, you're caring about them, and they're more interested in their cell phone than they are in you. And so here's the key question. How does it make you feel when somebody you wish to be fully present with you is not fully present with you? The answer is clear. It makes you feel unimportant, insignificant. So what people want in a team, what do we want from our leaders? Well, studies have shown the same thing. What we want first from leaders is to be able to trust them and we want to be able to know that they're honest. How do you do that in the first 20 seconds with somebody? How do you do it over the phone? Well, it comes by being fully present. So it is what I call the secret behind the secret, whether we're talking about it with a customer, whether we're talking about a teammate on your work team, whether you're talking about it with your family. So beautiful place to start, Big Dan.
Well, Brian, that brings us right down to the second one, which is how. You know, you mentioned a really good one with the cell phone, and you know, technology these days has made us, well, it all depends on who you speak to. I think sometimes it makes us less productive than productive. It has definitely shrank the world, like, massively when it comes to a business sense. But when we talk about the essence of how we become present, is it just a matter of, you know, leaving your phone aside, or is it a matter of, because I found one way that I've learned how to become fully present is I look directly at the individual, and as they speak, I process it. I don't think of my answer. I don't think of my, I'm going to say rebuttal, and that's not really the right word because it's more of a conflicting word, but I don't think of my response until they're finished. And then I process, and sometimes to the point where some people say, did you hear me?
Well, Dan, I think that's brilliant, incidentally. That's a great thing, because one of the ways we are not present is we're so concentrated on what we're going to say next that we actually miss completely what that person was trying to convey. Not only do we miss their words, but we miss what's more important, what's behind those words. So how do you be present? Well, the first thing, and I think the most glorious thing about being present is it's a choice. It's not a technique. It's not something that is a extraordinarily difficult thing. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's relatively simple. And what I mean by that is you've got to start by being aware of being present, by really saying it is my choice. To get back to what we said before. When you are present, what does it say to your son? What does it say to your wife? What does it say to your customer? By your presence and your presence alone, you are telling them that in that moment, nobody else matters. They matter. They're important. They're significant. So step one is make the choice. Become aware. Step two is realize that only God is perfect. All right? So you're going to have times when you're not going to be present. But one of the things you can do, especially in important relationships, is start off by expressing to somebody, you know what? I really want to be present with you. I want to hear you. I want to pay attention to you. If you ever feel that I'm not, please tell me. All right? And that'll help you get back on track. And guess what? By doing that simple thing, you've created a team that's focusing on present. And you've also done something subtly that's really powerful. You've told them that you want to be present with them, but by making that simple comment, you've also kind of guided them to be more present with you. So it's kind of a win-win all the way around. One of the things you can do when you're having conflict with somebody is to set up a time to do a just listen session. What I mean by that is you'll say to somebody, look, we got to really work well together. It's so important, and we're not doing it that well. Would you take 5 or 10 minutes where I would just listen to you? I promise I won't react, I won't defend, I won't comment, I'll just listen. They'll look at you like you're crazy, but they'll go, but you come back and say, hey, you know, this is really important. They'll go, okay. And do you know that in 10 minutes of listening to somebody, you will, and that complete presence, they will come around to being your teammate more than ever. I've done it. I had the most important person in my company was when I was running one of the larger training companies around. We were having a conflict. We just weren't working well together. When we did a just listen session, which is just a matter of saying a conscious, let's spend a few minutes being present, we became lifelong friends. We became incredibly productive because that presence taught her and taught me that we were both significant and that we were better together than we were apart.
Wow, so that really digs into actually point 3 on the first pillar of being present, which is the synergy. What kind of synergies did that create? What kind of, you know, byproduct? What kind of results did you see afterwards, after you had that just listen session, Brian?
You know, that's awesome, an awesome question. And first of all, for people who may not know what synergy means, synergy came from Buckminster Fuller, the guy who invented the geodesic dome. And what he did was he took 2 words, synthesis plus energy. All right, and that when those words come together, we create in our teams the goal of a team, which is synergy, which is, it's amazing what's accomplished because nobody cares who gets the credit. Credit is something you give, responsibility is something you take. Synergy means that when we work the way we're capable of working, 1 + 1 can equal 100. And if you've ever been a part of a team where synergy was cooking, I bet it was one of the best experiences of your life. So I'm going to give you an even more pertinent example to the audience today. I started my corporate career in the transportation industry. I worked for a very large transportation company in the Pacific Northwest. My operations, I was a vice president in charge of sales and marketing. The vice president of operations was next door to me, the next room. We had no synergy because we were never present for one another. We looked at the world differently. We had different perspectives. He was very analytical about the problem. I was very focused on vision for the future. Neither one was better. They were just different. It was, Dan, it was when I took a few minutes to be present with him, to sit in his office with no agenda other than to listen to him, to ask him questions about how he thought, that our entire company transformed. And if you want to talk about results, from that point forward, operations never had a meeting without sales. Sales never had a meeting without operations present. Our company had one of the most dynamic turnarounds in transportation industry. We went from almost being out of business because we were so siloed and separate to being the most successful company in terms of profitability, in terms of reduced turnover, in terms of what our customers thought of us. We ranked #1 in Distribution Magazine for customer service and for convenience for our customers. That's the power of creating synergy through the power of presence.
Wow, and you know what? It's when you created that synergy, you know, we'll get that off sooner or later. Did you see productivity raise in every department, even though it was just sales and operations that had the synergy from the top?
Oh, there's no question about it. Because what happens is, what we started to do was we started to catch each other doing things right. We started to support each other. Instead of trying to cover our tails, we wanted to catch our operations teammates doing things right. We realized that you don't build a team with everybody exactly like you. You build a team by honoring the differences. So the people in operations had talents and skills and focus that we didn't have. Until we were present with one another, until we created that synergy, we left productivity outside because everybody was concentrated on just covering themselves and avoiding blame. But the minute that we started to really create that synergy through presence, everyone was excited to come to work. Everyone was excited to go the extra mile because they knew that it would be recognized by their teammates. They knew that we could not be productive without one another. In other words, we started valuing and honoring differences. We built trust that said, even if we don't do things right, we're still going to support each other and we're going to learn from it. That's a huge increase in productivity.
Well, Brian, in obviously, you know, bringing forward from productivity right up to here, and this pillar is called C. And I mean, a big portion of any team, any company, any development of any kind is, the first one is shaping the future, and that's the S in the C. And how can we go about, or what kind of processes should we have to shape the future for our team? Is it a matter of sitting down with our team and saying, okay, here's the big goal, here's the individual goals, and kind of draw it out like that, mind map it, maybe brainstorm it with the team? How do we shape the future?
Well, it's a great question, and to understand, all change, all positive change starts with vision. In other words, we must see now as if it were real, even though it's not real. That's what shape the future means. And it really calls upon two key principles. And we can spend a whole day talking about them, but we'll just kind of bring the principles to the fore. The first principle that allows you to shape the future, that's a principle of what I call breakthrough vision, says that what you focus on is what you create. And the key word there is create. See, many people have heard the statement, what you focus on is what you get. But when you come from a place of what you get, that means what you're coming from is a place where you think things happen to you. Shaping the future is that you're the cause, you're at the cause, not the effect. And it's really true. What you focus on is what you create. Example, I guarantee you, Dan, when your son was little, if you said something like, don't spill the milk, boom, the milk was going down. Why? Because you created a focus towards spilt milk. So what you just said about how do you start the process of shaping the future, understanding those principles, what you focus on is what you create. And the second principle is don't use your memory to see. We all use our memory to see, not our vision. So doing what you just suggested with your team is a brilliant way to open up the opportunity to shape the future, which means gather your team together. And before you tell them your vision, ask instead of tell. Ask them, what do they see as the most important outcomes? Where do they want to be next year? Where do they want to be 5 years from now? What do they feel is the greatest opportunity for the company? And just listen. Again, when you're doing that, guess what you are? You're going back to pillar one. You're being fully present. Two, when you ask them what they think, you're also instilling even more of that belief that they're important, that they're valued. When anybody asks you what you think, it makes you feel good, doesn't it, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes you feel like they're interested and that they really value your insights. Plus, you have an opportunity to learn things from perspectives that you don't have. Every person sees things a little bit different. So you start the process of shaping the future as a team by asking first, what do you see where we want to be next year? What's our biggest challenge? What's our greatest opportunity? Where are we going to go 5 years from now? And then you want to merge those ideas. Brainstorming is brilliant. Do it in what I call a team possibility workshop format. Brainstorming, step one. Step two is to prioritize. And you do that as a team. What does the team feel is the most important priorities? And three, who will do what by when? That